Let us start today's lecture. So, in the last class we discussed about material properties, okay, and then we discussed about true stress, true strain, measurement of stresses and strains. So, today we will discuss about stress-strain relations. Is okay? Yes. Because we have already discussed about the stresses, analysis of stresses and the analysis of strain which comes from strain displacement relation. This is what we have already discussed, and now today we will relate stress and strain through some physical properties which are basically the material properties, which are now known to us from some experimentation. So, let us go there. So, if you click here, these slides will open. Here these are downloaded. So, let us go into the download folder. We will open this particular slide. Okay, this is already open. Let us see what it is. So, historically this stress-strain relation, this dates back to Robert Hooke. Okay. He did a series of experiments basically on springs and established a linear relationship between the tension with the extension. Okay. The tension in magnitude of force and the extension in magnitude of length. And then we know Young's modulus is there. So, Young carried out some more experiments on steel specimen. Robert Hooke carried out experimentation on springs basically. So, this modulus of elasticity is also known as Young's modulus. And then we have seen some other material properties like Poisson's ratio, etc., etc. So, this is the thing when a specimen is under tension, it is not that there is only extension. Okay, coupled with extension, sometimes there is some contraction in other direction which gives rise to Poisson's ratio. Okay. So, now what is the observation from here? The observation is that if we apply stress, force means the stress, okay, in one direction, strains are produced in various directions. There is extension along the line of action of the force, and in perpendicular direction also there is some, say, compression, contraction. Okay. So, it is not that only tension and extension they are contributing in the physical phenomena. There are something more to it. Okay, some more parameters are there, which gives rise to the idea of generalized Hooke's law. And also note that whatever material properties we obtain, our basic experiment is this tension testing. Okay. This tension testing is the basic testing, material testing. This is what we have already discussed in our previous discussion. And in addition, there is some more testing which are carried out, say, in torsional testing machine, where we get shear modulus. And also this bulk modulus and some other properties, it comes from the mathematical analysis. From some values we get this bulk modulus value. Okay. This is also what we have discussed, right? The hydrostatic pressure divided by the delta value, basically delta V by delta is delta value first invariant of strain, that is this. Okay, right. So, now let us go into generalized Hooke's law. What it is? The thing is here, it is shown like this. That means in our strain analysis, we have seen that there are a 3 by 3 strain matrix as well as there was a 3 by 3 stress matrix, but out of that, as the cross shear, either shear stress or shear strain, they are equal. Only 6 are the unknown quantities, right?
Yes.
So now you observe there are 6 unknown stresses as well as there are 6 unknown strain. And the idea of generalized Hooke's law is that each of the stress, it has contribution to each one of the strain components. What is the logic? This is one of the observation.
Yes.
So based on this logic, let us extend this observation and express our stress in this way. This is clear.
Yes.
Now, if this is the relationship between stress and strain, the reverse relationship, which is strain from stresses, that is also possible, right? So this is the reverse relation. A particular state is expressed in terms of the stress components. So such relations, they are the coefficients involved here. They are known as the stiffness coefficients. Okay, and when we express the relation in this fashion, these coefficients, they are known as the flexibility coefficients. Okay. So this is stiffness and this is flexibility, the reverse thing. Okay, this is clear. But then there is a question that we had basically 9 unknown stresses and 9 unknown strains. We considered cross shears are equal. If it is not that, then what would happen? Then in that case, we would have such a relationship. So the relationship which is shown here, this can be expressed in matrix form. That means in tension notation, right? So these are the notations.
Yes.
So previously the coefficients were indicated by A and B, but conventionally they are represented by C and here this is S. So this C is basically those stiffness coefficients and this S, they are the flexibility coefficients. That is clear. So what are the corresponding tension notations? This is for stress expressed in terms of strain, and this one is strain expressed in terms of stresses. And you note that these coefficient matrix, stiffness coefficient and flexibility coefficient, they are again related, has to be, because the stress and strain, they relate to an identical system. Okay. So here what is shown is that the flexibility coefficient matrix is basically the inverse of the stiffness coefficient matrix. This, but still this is a matrix equation. It's 6 by 6, 6th order matrix equation. But if our assumption that cross shears are equal is not valid, okay, actually there are such material models where cross shears are not taken as equal. The advanced material modeling is there. Okay. So in that case, the relation, this particular relation could be represented like this. Okay. So here, how many constants will come? Say these are the material constants. Quite obviously, there are 81 constants, right? Okay. Actually, you see this I, J, K, L. all of them runs from 1 to 3, 1 to 3. We have 4 subscript here, independent subscript. So this order ofCijkl is 3 into 3 into 3 into 3, ultimately 81. Now this 81 actually, okay, it reduces to 36 because of the symmetry. Okay. So that is the equality of cross hairs we have already discussed. So that 81 comes down to 36. And then you see these type of material properties where if we have certain type of material, it was possible that 36 material constant are there.
Yes.
If we go inside a particular crystal, certain crystals might have some more number of independent elastic constant. Okay. But what we are dealing with is for isotropic homogeneous material. For that, the number of independent elastic constant comes to 2.
Yes.
So these two, as we have observed from our material testing, that can be the elastic modulus and the Poisson's ratio. That can be the elastic modulus and the shear modulus. Any two are independent.
Yes.
The other material constants can be obtained from those two. Okay. So that part is clear.
Yes.
So why we are taking in this form. Now these are stress strain relations. Okay, these are stress strain relations. If we have a thermal loading which produces a strain only, in that case it is taken in addition to the strain coming from the mechanical stress. Okay. So that thermal problem we are not going to analyze here. So again that part is not that simple, because if the body is restricted to expand, then there would be some other effect which will come from this temperature change. Okay, this part is understood. But now you see, out of these two constant, we have discussed some material constant, that means constant which are physical in nature. Okay, but can we think of a mathematical constant? Actually, Lamy first derived a material model based on two constants. Okay, so these two constants are basically coming from the mathematical constant. So let us see what are these two constants. Here you see the logic is, if we have such a relation between stress and strain, okay, then these stress components and the strain components, they can be expressed in terms of principal stresses and principal strains.
Yes.
That we know.
Yes.
As well as for isotropic material, we know that the directions of the principal stresses and principal strains, they are identical.
Yes.
This is clear? Okay. So let us say our stress and strains, they are expressed in the coordinate of principal stresses. That means the principal strains as well.
Yes.
In that case, what would be the relation? That 6 by 6 will now be a 3 by 3 relation, because we have 3 principal stresses and 3
Yes, sir.
principal strain. So this is the first of the equation. Sigma 1 is, these are material constant, ABC. Okay, this is clear. And similarly we will have sigma 2 is again this A epsilon 1 what it will be in that case. Sigma 2 would be A epsilon 2 B epsilon 1 plus C epsilon 3, something like that. It will be whatever. Let us focus in this particular equation first. Now, if it is like this, what we are doing here, this can be expressed as A epsilon 1 plus B into epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3. What does it indicate? B is equal to C.
Yes.
Is it logical? Why B is equal to C? Now, this comes from the experimental observation. This is the Poisson's ratio. If we apply a force in this direction, the contraction or expansion perpendicular to it would be identical. If they are identical, then that is contributing through this coefficient B and C.
Yes.
So obviously B and C are identical because these effects, Poisson's ratio effect is identical in the transverse direction. So B is equal to C. Now this is now expressed as A minus B into epsilon 1. So we have subtracted B epsilon 1. Let us add B epsilon 1. What we are getting, B into epsilon 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is basically delta. Clear? So this A minus B, okay, is represented by twice mu. Okay. So what this becomes twice mu into epsilon 1. Okay. And this B is represented by lambda. So this particular quantity becomes lambda into, this is delta, volumetric strain. So our sigma 1 is expressed by lambda into delta plus twice mu into epsilon. Okay, how many constants are here? Two, lambda and mu. So this lambda and mu, they are called Lami's coefficient. But you see, these two constants, they are not material constant. They are not obtained from any material testing. They are coming from this logic, from this logical reason through a mathematical construction. They are coming. So these are called mathematical constant, Lami's constant. Okay. So and similarly for sigma 2 and sigma 3, this would be like this. So here again we have to write for sigma t 2 equal to, first coefficient would be that A and epsilon 2 would be there.
Yes.
Because A is contribution in the direction of force. So that way it will come. So these three, sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, they are now obtained in terms of two material constants, lambda and mu. So these are the stress and strain relations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Although they are the relation between principal stress and principal strain, but we have already discussed much about the relation between the state of stress, stress transformation, etc., etc. So if principal stresses are known, we can obtain state of stress in any direction. Now, what is their reverse relation? The reverse relation is epsilon values from sigma values.
Yes.
These are the reverse relation. So these relations, once again, depend on the Lami's constant, Lami's material constant, lambda and b. Clear? Now, where from they are coming? Actually, they are coming from these three equations. Okay, let us see. These three we have obtained.
Yes.
Okay, logically. We add them. Okay. if we add them, this lambda into delta 3 times 3 lambda delta
Yes.
plus twice mu, let us take it as a constant, epsilon 1 plus epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3. So that is again delta, right?
Yes.
So twice mu delta and 3 lambda into delta. Delta is constant. Okay. So this sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, adding them, we are getting 3 lambda plus 2 mu. Delta is common multiplier. Okay. Clear? And this sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3 is our first invariant I1. This delta is our second invariant, this J1. Invariant of the stress matrix and the strain matrix. Whatever, this is the thing. And from here also we get our bulk modulus. Okay. This also gives us the bulk modulus, because if the first invariant is thrice P, we know that,
Yes, sir.
where P is that hydrostatic stress value. And then this delta, this is the volumetric strain J1, and that P by delta is K, we will get K value from there. Okay. It is coming like that. P by delta is 1/3 of thrice lambda plus twice mu. It is coming from this
Yes,
equation. Yes, this here. Okay. But what about our strain relations? We are looking for this particular relation, right? Let us see now. So what we are getting from there? This is from this. What is our value of delta? This is the, from this equation you see, sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus sigma 3 is this. So this delta is sigma 1 plus sigma 2 sigma 3 divided by 3 lambda plus twice. This is what, let us substitute in this particular equation. Okay. What it is becoming, lambda into this sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, they are added. Okay, and in the denominator this is what is coming. Okay, this plus twice mu epsilon 1 is here. Okay. So what we are doing from here? Twice mu epsilon 1, this is equal to sigma 1 minus whatever is here, we will subtract from sigma 1. So now let us bring it in the left hand side. Okay, and the multiplier twice mu, let us take it on the right hand side. So sigma 1 minus this quantity, okay, that divided by twice mu. And what else would be there? Some mathematical manipulation is carried out on this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sigma will be separated from this.
So that operation is carried out and we are getting this relation. This is clear, that epsilon 1 is becoming this particular thing. So this is what is shown here. Epsilon, similarly we get epsilon 2 and epsilon 3 in terms of sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. Okay, so these are the material constant, Lami's material constant, they relate stress and strain. Now what about the relationship between Lami's constant and the physical constant? That means the relationship between mathematical material constant and physical material constant. Let us take Young's modulus, that means material modulus of elasticity, and Poisson's ratio as the two independent material constant, because that is what directly comes from universal testing machine. Only a single experiment will yield those two material constant. So how to do that? Relation between the elastic constant. Now this particular equation. This is known from elementary strength of materials, this is known. So here what are the material constant? This modulus elasticity and so this is in, so again principal strengths are there.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is one of the equation. Okay. What is the form? Some constant sigma 1 minus some constant into sigma 2 plus sigma 3.
Yes.
Compare it with this equation. Epsilon 1 is some constant into sigma 1 minus again some constant into sigma 2 plus sigma 3. So this particular equation and this particular equation, they are identical equation.
Yes.
No doubt about that.
Yes.
This is only possible if 1 by E is equal to this quantity,
Yes.
and here this lambda by twice lambda plus mu, this is equal to mu. So this is the only possibility. Is it okay?
Yes.
So this is how we are getting a relationship between Lami's constant and our physical material constant. Okay. And we can solve them, and also there is an observation that this Lami's constant mu, okay, this mu is identical with material constant G. Okay. Actually this is in principal plane, so this shear terms are not coming here. Shear stresses and strains are all zero here, but later on we can find that this modulus of rigidity G, basically this Lami's constant mu is G. And again G is related with other two material constant E and nu. This is also a known relationship. And then we can solve these equations. So this is two material constant in terms of Lami's constant, and these two, this lambda is expressed through physical material constant nu and Poisson's ratio and modulus of elasticity, as well as this another Lami's constant mu is equal to G, where G is given like this. And this is the thing. Okay, so from here what we can do is, say these are the independent material constants. Okay, what are these? Modulus of elasticity, Poisson's ratio, okay, this is bulk modulus K, as well as G represents mu, that is the identical thing, one of the Lami's constant as well as a material constant, mu equal to, and L is lambda, L stands for lambda. So these are independent material constant. Each one is expressed in terms of any two independent material constant. So is there any more combination possible? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 C2. What is 5 C2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It appears to be more than 6. Whatever. 10. Okay. So here we have only 6. So some more combination is possible here. But is it clear from here?
Yes, sir.
G in terms of E and nu, this is the relation. Okay. Lambda, this lambda in terms of E and nu, this is the relation. Okay, this is what we have just seen. This is lambda. Then this is E in terms of lambda and mu. Where is E? in terms of lambda and mu, because G is mu. This is the thing. So, what is this table?
L is lambda or delta?
L is lambda. L is lambda. You see the value of E in terms of lambda and mu. Mu into 3 lambda plus, again this is twice mu. G is mu.
Yes, sir.
Lambda plus mu. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
This is the thing. Yeah, I understand this. Here it should have been G, and within bracket that mu should have been there as well as G. Whatever, you would be able to understand. So then there is here modulus. Okay, change in shear strain due to change, shear stress due to change in shear strain. This is bulk modulus, change in hydrostatic
Stress.
stress per unit change of volumetric strain. So I think these relations are not there. So that is why these two are indicated separately. Anyway, this thing you would be able to find out. So now there are some problems, which basically problems coming from this stress, this relationship between material constant. So in this particular problem, material constant E and nu, this is given. Okay. For steel values are given, for concrete values are given. You have to find out Lami's coefficient from there.
Yes, sir.
Quite easy problem.
Yes, sir.
Is the second problem, E is given and G value is given. Find the given strain at a point. Okay, this is a different problem. What you have to do is this epsilon ij, okay, this we can given strain matrix. Given strain matrix means this is the given strain matrix. So you have to use tau ij. You see here. So this one is our sigma ij. If we express them in terms of this strain matrix, we can write it in form of a matrix equation. Is it possible? Or we can find it out directly. If the strain matrix is given, we can find out directly
Sir, this
from there. Huh?
this strain matrix is given.
This is
Then-
given, strain matrix is given.
Then we can easily find the principal
Huh.
strain.
That is possible, but is it possible to express this equation in matrix form? These are the sets of equations. Sigma 1 equal to, actually this is a, no, actually we have to express it in this form. A epsilon 1 plus B epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3, is it not? If we find out this A and B from lambda and mu, then we can express this sigma ij in terms of epsilon ij. That is also possible, right? So whatever, there are various ways of solving the problem. You do it whatever way you like. Okay. So these are some problems which usually comes in your exams, something. So see, make some practice on it. Okay, this is clear. Now next part is basically stress strain relation for general state of stress and strain.
Okay.
So far what we have discussed is basically stress strain relation in principal coordinates. For a general state of stress there would be 6 component, okay, and there would be 6 strain component. So this relation is something like this. Now you see what does it mean. There are 6 stress components. There are 6 strain components, and then they are expressed like this. So what is the order of our sigma vector here? The sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, first 3, they are normal stresses. 4, 5, 6, they are shear stresses. In strain matrix also the order is same. First 3, they are normal strain. 4, 5, 6, they are shear strain. This is clear. This is how we have expressed our stress vector and this strain vector. Now, when we are relating them, this E cap means this is the transpose of this thing, right?
Okay, sir.
It has to be like this because this is 1 into 6 and then this is 6 into 6 and again 6 into 1. And this CE, C is that material constant.
Yes.
Okay, this is a 6 by 6 matrix. This constant is known as elastic constitutive relations. The reverse relation is the inverse of this C matrix. This is known as elastic compliance matrix, flexibility matrix coefficient or the compliance matrix. Here again elastic constitutive means the stiffness matrix coefficient or elastic constitutive matrix. Okay. So these two forms are shown here. See? This is only the matrix coefficients, elastic constitutive matrix equation. So you understand what it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The reverse one, elastic compliance matrix, which is the inverse of this matrix.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It would be like this. So the full form is shown here.
Okay, sir.
So this is also here. So such problems might come as well. You would be given a state of stress matrix or state of strain matrix. Okay, material constants either given or material would be specified. You have some idea about material constant. You have to take them. Then you have to find out the stress or strain, whatever is there. Okay, problems, example problems are not here. You would be able to solve these things. Now what is shown here?
In the previous problem, we can solve in this method also.
No, this is given in this is a 3 by 3. This means this has to be your principal stresses and principal strains.
No, sir.
Huh? Which one?
This is not the principal strain and strain, sir. So this is the.
Oh, this is in 2D.
No, sir. The 3D, but the stress condition.
Oh, stress conditions are not principal, right? Because there are shear
Shear
strains.
stress presents.
But if these are 3 by 3, then it has to be a 2D condition, right? This is the relation between 2D stress and 2D strain. In 3D, how it is possible? Then this problem relates to a 2D state of stress and strain. Okay, so Yeah, that is true. This is not principal stresses and principal stress. Clear. Any other, anything
Sir,
else?
there are the Z in the XZ direction. There are shear stress component will be present. How is it is a two-day strain condition? In XZ,
Sigma x, sigma y, sigma xy.
sorry sir, this one is sigma XZ, epsilon XZ.
Oh, xz.
Yes,
This is a 3 by 3.
3 by 3 sir, and 3D stress conditions.
3D stress conditions. So, okay, yeah. So this is a general state of strain and general state of stress, right?
Sir,
So that means for this particular problem, this is the relations which you need
yes,
to
sir,
use,
the
right?
G value and E value will be given, and then we can easily find the mu value from this relation.
Exactly. So this is the relation you have to use.
Yes,
right?
sir, yes.
Here, E value is given. Yeah. What is given in this problem? E value and G value. Okay, so those are given directly.
The mu value will be easily find from this relation.
Yeah. And then this is the one you have to use. Yeah, that is true. So this particular problem is for this thing, general state of stress and strain.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, thank you. This is the thing. Now what it is, this is again the relationship between the hydrostatic part, mean stress, and this is uniform strain part, mean elastic strain part. So what we will get from there is this K, bulk modulus. This we have already discussed, right? In the first slide itself, how K is coming, that we have already discussed.
Okay, sir.
This thing basically here. From this relation, P by delta, this is our K, this is how we have obtained it. The same thing is shown here. K is 1/3 of, this is somewhat different.
C is a compliance matrix.
This compliance,
Yes.
sigma is compliance. Okay. Yeah. The deviatoric stress part, how they are represented, Sij. No. Okay. So now, what is important from here is the stress-strain relations in terms of Lami's constant, right? Sigma ij is given by lambda to epsilon kk. What does it mean? Epsilon kk, these are normal strain only.
Yes.
Okay. And delta ij. You know what is this delta? This is known as Dirac's operator or delta Dirac's operator.
So when I equal to J, that value equal to 1.
And when I is not equal to j, this value is 0.
Yes.
It is that operator. Okay. Okay. And so you have to expand this. This is in tensor form. So this is what we'll get. And the same thing is expressed here in terms of physical material constant, nu and E. This is in terms of Lami's constant.
Yes.
Or what it is, this is the reverse relation,
Yes,
right?
sir.
As
Reverse
well.
relations, sir.
This is stress with strain. Okay, this is clear. Now this is the case of 2D stress field, plane strain, and there is a plane stress. So this we can get from observation as
What
well,
a
right?
question,
হ্যাঁ
আমি করেছি প্রমাণটা এফএম লেগেছে কাজে
okay so this part is obvious. We can write down the equations between sigma x, sigma y and tau xy. Those three
I
are
have
the
proved in this problems in this copybook.
acha. Did it. Much is clear. This is plane stress state. This is for plane strain and plane stress. Okay, this is a particular problem. Something is given, a thin layer is compressed between two plates like this. Applied stress is sigma z, calculate stress strain component. Assume no edge effect. So here x and y, one is along this direction, say if this is x, perpendicular to this figure is y, this is z. This is coordinate frame, so obviously sigma x equal to sigma y, and okay, this is constant. Okay, the whole block is constant, so epsilon x and y they are 0. We are using this relation epsilon x is 0. This is again equal to this quantity. What is sigma x and sigma y? They are equal, right?
Yes.
So this is becoming 1 minus twice nu. Is it that? No. It is basically 1 minus nu into sigma x, right? And this is minus nu into sigma z. Okay, so from here, if we take sigma x common and take this minus nu into sigma z in the left hand side, this is becoming nu into sigma z divided by 1 minus. Okay, and sigma x is equal to sigma y. That is equal. So epsilon x, if this sigma x is known, we can find it. This is how I have to solve the problem. Okay. So this was our stress and strain relation, right?
Yes, sir.
Now for the analysis of stress, we had an equation of equilibrium. So that particular set of equation is expressed in terms of stresses.
Yes.
Those stresses can now be expressed in terms of strains.
Yes.
And again we have the relations between strain and displacement. Okay. So finally the equation of equilibrium can be expressed in terms of the displacement fields only.
Yes.
So that form of equation is known as displacement equation of equilibrium. Okay, physically it is the same equilibrium equation, only we are expressing it in terms of displacement field. Why? Because the displacement field is easy to solve.
Yes.
The boundary conditions, they are easy to construct through displacement prescription. Okay, that sort of thing is there. Now this is one way of solving the problem, by forming displacement equation of equilibrium and then solving those set of equations. Now there is another way of solving the problem, which is solving these stress fields. So if we have to solve stress field for a particular problem, okay, then we can solve it from the equation of equilibrium directly. So for that we require a stress function. The stress function means here when we are using this displacement equation of equilibrium, we are solving for displacement field. From this displacement field again we'll get back the strain. From that strain field we'll get the stress field.
Yes, sir.
But if we directly use the equation of equilibrium in terms of stresses, and then we express the stresses in terms of a stress function. You recall that previously we have discussed that the displacement and the stress functions, they have a similarity in their nature. Because derivative of displacement field is strain,
Yes.
and derivative of stress function is stress.
Yes.
Okay. So if we can solve the stress functions, then we can directly get the stress field.
Yes.
From that stress field we will go into the strain field,
Strain. Yes, sir.
and from that strain field we can go back to the displacement field. Okay. Although getting displacement from strain is quite difficult, we mentioned about a particular problem, right?
Yes, sir.
But that is also another way of solving the problem. Usually, engineers prefer to solve through unknown displacement field. But mathematicians, they prefer to solve through this unknown stress function. So before going into displacement equation of equilibrium, we will be discussing about stress functions first. Okay, so let us do it now, and then